HFCL, Embed UR, Alithia, Netgear, Zylogic, Spirent, Keysight, all of them help us keep the costs down for the participants. Otherwise, we can't afford to run this at this venue, etc. So we thank them, and please visit their booths on the other side. The tea breaks and the lunch sessions will be there. We'll try and give you a little bit more time so that you can also spend time at the respective booths. Sponsors will also have some, at least the summit partners will have some videos shown during some of the slots, okay? So if there is no other announcement, I think I'll get started. Since we have a tight agenda and I have to hand over to the next speaker. So just give me a minute. So mine is going to be a very short presentation. Hopefully I'll be within time. So my name is Srikanth, and I just wanted to maybe do a short presentation on where we are going with respect to 802.11 and Wi-Fi, okay? So just to quickly look at the evolution, we are today in the Wi-Fi 7 era. It's the hot topic in everybody's mind. Of course, for those geos where 6 gigahertz is available, 6 gigahertz becomes very important. Of course, somebody was asking us yesterday during the pre-summit training, isn't it saturated? But I was telling that Wi-Fi 8 is already in the works. So we are hopefully getting there soon. And I had this last year as well. 60 gigahertz is getting more attention than before. Only thing is whether it will be translated into something meaningful in the near term, we'll see as we go along. The other intention of my short presentation is also to tie together some of the talks so that you can see a narrative for our whole day. So if we look at other important things other than the radio, because sometimes the radios get undue attention. Everybody talks about OFDMA and MU-MIMO as the only thing that we have done in Wi-Fi. That's not the case. In fact, I would argue that more importantly, things like security evolution, where we are in the era of WPA3, touching on 256-bit key encryption now, and lots of coexistence issues, because as you know in Wi-Fi, we have to live with the past, and that is something that we have to learn to kind of do in a much more smoother way than what we've been doing. And apart from data transfer, we also have all these new age applications, sensing, location, ranging, awareness, etc. Luckily, at least in the location ranging, we have 2 presentations. One directly on Wi-Fi location, one UWB based from NXP and Arista. So I'm hoping that that will give us some idea of what might be the scope of things. Some of these have really not taken off to the extent maybe that has been envisaged. So I think there is some potential there. Of course, we will hear about multi-link in a couple of presentations, or one panel and another presentation where we'll see some simulation results telling us where this is going. In fact, now that you tell me, I just have to unmute for my online guys as well, whom I forgot. Just if you don't mind, just give me a minute. So since we were dabbling with our presentation, I forgot them. Sorry, Sumit and Hoin. So there they are. Yeah. So just hold on, Sumit. I'm still in my presentation. So let me finish mine and then hand over. Let me share my screen right now so that you can see what's going on. And then, okay. So that will also keep them in touch of what's going on. So multi-link, of course, we'll hear performance aspects in the panel discussion. We'll have some idea of some of the home happenings. I think Sai might share something from what's happening on the home side. We have open roaming, hopefully introduced to us again with HFCL. We might also have some more information from WBA in future events of Wi-Fi KS. So these are some of the topics where we are also delving on the other important things than just the radio-related enhancements. Okay. And as I said, one of the things is the big question in 6 gigahertz is, will India make a move? Maybe we'll get some points from some people who might know more. For those of you who might be following WRC, conveniently has left it to individual countries to pick whether go cellular or go Wi-Fi. The other thing that is new in 6 gigahertz, if your company is involved in outdoor or what we call standard power Wi-Fi, is this AFC based usage has happened, started in the US. So this is, I think, very interesting because that probably has some lessons for us going ahead in terms of whether we can use unlicensed band with this kind of approach. And I overall think that 6 gigahertz might be one of the best news because getting spectrum has always been a challenge, and 6 gigahertz in fact has become contentious as well. And I'm hoping that with all the things that we have put in, we'll get better usage of that spectrum because 2G, 5G spectrum, as you know, more than data, we waste it with a lot of other things as well. Okay. So this is primarily to provoke some discussion, whether anything after Wi-Fi 4 or 5 has been useful, right? Because MU, MIMO, and OFDMA, I think Sumit also might have some points just after me, have really not shown to be that useful in practice. And scheduled uplink in Wi-Fi, in my opinion, Smith, I'm just generally being a little provocative so that maybe somebody will have something else to say. And continuing on this thread, all this hype on MLO, I hope that that will not turn out to be something like what we have seen, and similarly preamble puncturing, etc. Okay, of course, you know the story that spatial reuse and TWT again have not really gone as far as we hoped. Okay, so and here is the other statement is that after 4 and 5, I'm making a statement that nothing has really happened usefully, and whatever I see for Wi-Fi 8 also is I'm not very hopeful. But again, I will happy to be corrected or debated upon during the course of today. Okay, so I would like to maybe points to keep in mind as to what we could maybe think about when people who are involved in standards and other things is, of course, Wi-Fi is predominantly an indoor dominated sort of environment technology. People might not know that it's a chipset based ecosystem on both sides. So it's basically very cost sensitive. Often I find people saying, oh, we are not even able to get an extra cent for embedding Wi-Fi in the laptop or whatever that is. For example, many people think that we have all these fancy MIMO, but we don't have a client which is anywhere close to this. Even though it's years, 11N, that's why I said after Wi-Fi 4, all those additions to MIMO have not really come to the mainstream, right? And I also think that, we also get sucked into comparisons with 5G, 6G, etc. URLLC, for those of you who know 5G, drones, satellites, and so many other things. Well, this is a tricky question. I'm not saying you should not use it. And there are people, I think, in this room who are using it. Even yesterday, somebody in class said, why don't we use the mid-amble? Because we are using, I said, if one wants to use it, they can use it in some context, special case. I think we can leave that to implementation, and you will be surprised how people take Wi-Fi silicon and do lots of interesting things. But to make that as a mainstream case and pressurize the whole industry, I think is a tricky point, okay? And I think this will lead us directly to the next talk, because I think Wi-Fi does not do a very rigorous evaluation, because legacy is 90%, 95% when we introduce new. All our evaluation is as if we are all in Wi-Fi 7 world, except for some token backward compatibility feature. So I think rigorous evaluations of features in the presence of legacy with tools like NS3, about which we are going to hear next, I think might be very useful. So this is something that I'm hoping that we will do more before we pronounce success for any new feature, because this is something which will be important as we go along. And my final slide before I hand over, this I've said in another forum, in cellular forum also, somehow the 3GPP crowd hijacks 6G. I don't know why Wi-Fi people stand down and leave it, them trampled. It's almost like 3GPP is the owner of the Gs. But that's not the case. Most of our data, in fact, yesterday I read the statement that it's almost 90% now the data flows through Wi-Fi. So it's really that we should not let Wi-Fi, or in a certain extent, there are other technologies also which we use, right? And I would say, appeal to the cellular crowd in, in India, the news I get from all the people outside is the news which said, your operators want no, blocking of 6 gigahertz equipment sale. That's the only news I get from people outside. So I think we should leave 6 gigahertz to unlicensed, right? Look at Wi-Fi as the technology to serve indoors or similar location, whether inside planes, trains, yards, etc., right? and including doing for IoT sensing. In fact, for IoT, we'll have a talk on Matter today, which will see how Matter gets integrated as an application layer, pulling in Wi-Fi and other technology strength. Sensing is becoming 6G is one of important things. All these things indoors in similar environments, why don't we use Wi-Fi as the starting point instead of trying a 6G solution for these things, okay? And remember, with energy usage, I think Wi-Fi has a sweet spot. When you are within an indoor or a similar space, Wi-Fi probably gets the bits to you with probably the least energy. So given that we are in the sustainability and all that things added on to the goals of next generation, I think Wi-Fi fits the bill in many such cases, okay? So I'll not take any questions, but I'll be coming again, so maybe some of this we can debate. So now I'll hand over to my next speaker. Sumit, are you ready? So you can share now, Sumit and How.
Is the